Hi there guys, it's the long Easter weekend, the sun is out, I'm feeling good and I've got loads of news for you. This week on Apple Views I've got stories about new stores, iPhone 14 and 15 and Apple Watch, so let's get into it. But we'll start off this week with a little update on WWDC. We know it's coming on the 6th of June, not all that long to wait, and we're getting some flesh on the bones now as to what we may see at what is predominantly a developers conference. So obviously we're going to be getting all the iOS updates for Watch, for TV, for iPad and for the phone, but equally as important is some of the hardware that we may be getting. Now, deep buried inside of the iOS update for the phone are a load of references to the AR/VR headset that we know is coming from Apple sometime, probably early next year, we're guessing. But there's a load of references to it in the new software for the phone and its integration with iPhone. So we know it's coming. This would give, obviously, developers enough chance to begin developing apps for the headset, and we know it's going to have its own store as well. So it makes sense for Apple to get it out as early as possible to let the developers work on the apps. But it means that, A, we know it's coming, and also it means that it's going to be coming, we assume, in the iOS 16 cycle that's about to start from this summer through until next. So if you're into your gaming, the AR/VR headset could be coming your way. So yes, WWDC is pretty much a developers conference for software, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see some hardware at least there. And why am I so sure? Well, a couple of reasons. Mark Gurman, in his excellent Power On newsletter, which comes out weekly, he mentioned that he'd heard there's going to be two Macs sometime around the middle of the year. Well, the last time I checked, June is around the middle of the year, so that kind of works. So now we're going to decide on what Macs we may see at the conference. It could be the brand new colourful redesigned MacBook Air. That's a possibility, possibly with an M2 chip inside. It could, of course, be the Mac Pro. We know that's coming. And the other day that was referred to back at the Peak Performance Conference, that could be WWDC. So I think if one of those two, plus a Mac Mini. And why am I so certain about a Mac Mini? Well, on the Studio Display, which runs its own firmware, somebody very clever found out that in that software update, there was mention of a Mac Mini 10.1 software update coming. So we know that a Mac Mini is coming. The only things to be decided upon there are whether it's going to be redesigned. John Prosser thinks yes. Kuo Ming-Chi thinks no. And also, what chip will be inside it? Will it be an M2 chip or will it be an M1 Max or an M1 Pro chip inside it? What would you like to see hardware-wise at WWDC? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk Apple Watch 8 now and sensors. The ones we've wanted for a long time, such as glucose and blood pressure, they're still a long way off, but some form of body temperature sensor is coming to Apple Watch 8. But I say some form because, well, 50% of us won't be able to use it at all. It's only for women to help with fertility planning. Now, I applaud Apple for what they're doing here, I really do, but it just seems kind of half-baked. They could be at the very forefront of healthcare wearable monitors, and yet they've stopped just short of giving us what we want. The data is clearly there, but the users don't get it. It merely is a way of planning ahead so you can kind of see the graph line that your temperature is taking. But again, men can't use it. Even women don't see the data. It's just to help with fertility planning. So Apple, I don't understand what's going on. Clearly you've got the technology there. You're that close to being at the very front. Don't let somebody else steal your march, please. Explain why we can't have a full body temperature sensor on Apple Watch 8. And I've got more news about Apple Watch 8 next. So it seems on Apple Watch 8, apart from the sensors, we could be getting a new low power mode as well. In the past, it was down to the user to turn on the power reserve mode, as it then was. So you either had to turn it on manually or wait for your battery to get to 10%. And then what would happen? It would turn off all the apps. Well, with the new OS, it will do it for you. It'll do it automatically. But more importantly, it will leave on some of the essential apps as well as going into this new low power mode. So hopefully battery life should get even better on Apple Watch 8 as well. So let's move away from watches to iPhone 14 and 15. That's right, I've got news on both the phones for you. If bezels are the kind of thing that worry you, well, they're getting slimmer. And I know this because of the leaker, the excellent leaker, Shrimp Apple Pro over on Twitter that I look at regularly. He's told us the bezels are for sure getting smaller. So if you lay awake at night worrying about the size of the bezels on your current iPhone, they're getting smaller this autumn. They're going to reduce a whole ½ millimetre from 2.42 millimetres down to 1.95 millimetres. So you can now rest easy. And iPhone 15 news, getting well ahead of the curve here. Do you remember the stories about the periscope lens, the lens that's going to come out on the back of the iPhone? Well, it seems it could be one step closer to becoming a reality. Apple have secured some production space over with a company called Java Electronics in South Korea. They've invested $155 million into the company to make sure they've got production availability ready over there to make something called, sorry for reading this, optical image stabilization actuators. To you and me, it's the periscope lens. So that could be coming so we can get even better functionality out of the zoom lens on iPhone 15. Is that something that interests you? And just before moving on to a YouTube story, let's just talk very quickly about iOS 16. It's kind of boring, isn't it, at the moment? It's been pretty much the same year after year. And we've got, obviously, the WWDC conference coming along. What would you like to see Apple do with iOS 16? How radical would you like them to get? How would you love it to look? On Twitter, I've seen some really excellent home screens that are virtually empty. I don't know where they're getting them from, but they look really, really lovely. But all we're hearing at the moment is, well, just a kind of a little touch up and carry on as it is. It'd be lovely to see Apple come out with something radically different. We know the phone isn't going to look that different this year, so if we had an OS on it that made it look different, I think that would just be great timing. But what would you like to see? More interactive widgets, or would you like to see bigger widgets? Would you like to see a completely new control center? What would you like on the new iOS 16 coming out this summer? Let me know. And back to that story that I mentioned about YouTube. They had a little bit of an embarrassing moment this week. They put out a press release saying that finally on iOS devices, picture-in-picture was going to be available. If you're wondering what that is, it means you can start a video playing in the YouTube app, shut the app down, and the video would continue. That press release got very quickly rolled back, and they said, no, sorry, we weren't meaning iOS, we're meaning YouTube TV, not YouTube itself. So I believe it's available on Android. I haven't used an Android phone ever, so I don't know, but I've heard that it's available already on Android phones, but it's not available on iOS devices. So we came that close to it, and then YouTube just took the rug away from us, so it wasn't coming at all. It's all to do with YouTube TV, I'm afraid. And the march of Apple keeps carrying on. I've got a couple of stories about their success coming up right now. First of all, there's a brand new store opening up. Have you heard of a place called Wuhan? I thought you might have. Well, Apple are opening their first store up there. How do I know? Because there is a holding page on Apple's website saying it's coming soon. I don't read Korean, but I'm reliably informed that's what it's saying. So there's a store coming to Wuhan sometime soon. And also, the growth of Apple is continuing at a pace. It really is. Whilst the global pandemic boom is finally slowing down, it doesn't seem that way for Apple at all. They've just recorded huge increases of 4.3 year-on-year growth, in fact, on their sales of both laptops and desktops. They shipped, get this, 7.2 million desktops and laptops in this period compared to the same period of last year. I am one of them. I'm waiting for my MacBook Pro to turn up and my display monitor, of course. But yeah, so their march is going on at pace, whereas their nearest competitor, HP, fell by 18%, or very nearly 18%. So Apple clearly are doing something right with great sales and also more worldwide stores opening as well. Last week, I reported that Elon Musk had just become the largest shareholder in Twitter with a shareholding of 9.1%. Well, he obviously liked the fixtures and fittings in the boardroom, because in a letter filed to the SEC yesterday, as of this recording, he's offered to buy the whole damn company at just over $54 per share. Doesn't sound too much when you put it like that, but it means its valuation is $43 billion, and he's doing that from loose change that he found down the back of the sofa. I don't know necessarily if it's a good thing. Twitter itself has been alight this morning, reading on comments and threads. People are just worried with Twitter being owned by a private individual. Will it be censored a lot heavier? I don't know. It hasn't gone through yet, but business at that level kind of excites me and worries me. Can you imagine the stress at business of that level when you're talking those sort of sums of money? But equally, there was a veiled threat at the back of it, because Musk said that was his, he said that Twitter's got an extraordinary potential which he was going to unlock, but he said also it's his best and final offer. And if the offer wasn't accepted, he would, get this, review his position as a shareholder. He's really got them by the you-know-whats, isn't he? But what do you reckon? Twitter owned by one person, can that possibly be a good thing? And Apple are clearly pretty serious about the environment. I'm going to have to read a couple of details to you here. During the last year alone, their renewable energy program means they avoided 13.9 million metric tons of carbon emissions, using over 10 gigawatts of clean energy of the 16 gigawatts they use annually. And as if that wasn't enough, they've just invested into China and Japan, and they're going to save a further 500 megawatts using solar and renewable power over there too. So clearly it's something that matters a lot to Apple, and it's great to see them making such a big investment into the environment. And hard as I try to make this next story sound exciting, Even I struggle. There's not many new products being released at the moment. We're in a little bit of a flat spot, but there is a new charger. Yay, a new charger. Isn't that exciting? Well, it's the first time that Apple have released a charger, not sold with a product. Obviously, there's been plenty of third-party options available over the years, but as I say, this is the first time that Apple have made their own. It's going to have the foldable prongs on the back, so it'll be nice and flat. It'll go into your pockets, rucksack, bag, easy to take with you. And also, it's going to have two USB Type-C chargers running side by side, so you can charge two products at the same time. It's going to be a 35-watt charger, so it's going to be suitable for a whole host of products, such as MacBook Air, iPhone, iPad, and even the HomePod Mini as well. So Apple are in a charger market, and there's not a lot else I can say about it. So as much as Apple might be doing great things with actually selling products, getting them into punters' hands is proving a little bit more of an issue. If you go online for the higher end products, such as M1 Pro and M1 Max chipped machines, you're going to have to wait 6 to 8 weeks. And if you go in store, it's an even longer delay. Kuoming is saying that those delays are due to extended lockdowns still being experienced over in China, and also there's some component shortage as well. I know it's my expense because I've had to wait anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks for my MacBook Pro, which I ordered from the UK website direct. So, yep, I just ordered at the wrong time. It would seem shortages are still a thing. And last this week, let's talk about AirPod Pro Gen 2. As you know, I've just bought my first AirPod Pros and they're soon going to be out of date. It looks like a new design is coming and they could be stemless. Is that something you'd like to see, or are you happy with the stems as they are? I kind of like the idea of a little stemless design, but of course it's like anything with Apple. It's become iconic to have that little stem on there. Anyway, that's all the news I've got for you this week. If there's anything I've missed out, do get in touch with me. You can do it on Twitter at DTalkingTech, or you can email me. All the details are down below in the video description. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I will catch you on the next video.